Her biological father stands right before her, yet the girl only dares to peek from the corner, all because her father is known to the world as the Monster Duke, though he possesses immense power and a face as sculpted as a work of art. But he has the nature of absolute coldness, even when meeting his long-lost biological daughter for the first time. He merely orders coldly, "Give her a room as far from me as possible. Just don't let her die." His eyes hold not a trace of emotion. This leaves Lotelucia very angry. Though she's grateful he took her in, she doesn't like him at all. If her mom hadn't told her to find Dad before they parted, she would never have come here. And these servants follow his orders quite faithfully. They provided for here just enough to keep her alive, though some maids do find her adorable, and she occasionally gets delicious cookies from them. But the head maid is displeased. "You over there don't pester the maids. They're not as idle as you are." This makes Lotelucia feel quite annoyed. After the maids who like her leave, she can only lie in bed alone, staring into space. Since no one brings her dinner by evening, she has to trot to the kitchen alone to find food, though she considered asking the maids for help. She knows deep down they're impatient with her. Unexpectedly, just as she reaches the parlor, she stops abruptly in shock. Duke Damien Frodium is speaking with his butler Bellant to avoid being discovered. Lotelucia hides behind the door and peeks. She vaguely recalls her mom saying that Dad isn't just the legendary monster and he's actually a demon. It is said that demons are bloodthirsty by nature and vanished with the demonic beast centuries ago. Just as she's thinking this, Bellant spots her hiding behind the door. Lotelucia hopes he'll keep her secret, but he says directly, "She's right over here." After being discovered, Lotelucia quickly runs away. In her mind, her father already doesn't like her, so if she suddenly appears before him, he'll surely dislike her even more. Thinking that despite being a demon, Dad hasn't tortured her, she decides to obey her monster dad from now on, be a good child, and grow up quietly. In the following days, she tries to avoid encountering Dad every day, until one day she wanders into a mysterious room and discovers a strange book. The moment she picks it up, the chains wrapped around it vanish. Opening the book, Lotelucia finds the pages completely blank. Just as she's utterly confused, text appears on the pages. She reads the contents carefully. The contents are so unbelievable that she doubts her own eyes, so she reads it over and over. The book writes a girl of humble birth named Dahlia was adopted by the Monster Duke and showered with endless affection. After coming of age, Dahlia grew graceful and beautiful, falling in love with a marquis's son. Unlike the angel-like Dahlia, the daughter the Monster Duke kept hidden, Lotelucia, was known as a cold and cruel villainess. The villainous Lotelucia contracted an unknown illness in her youth and eventually died miserably. After finishing the story, Lotelucia fully believes this book is about her own future. But she doesn't feel sick at all right now. Does she only have a few years left after just leaving her mom? Is this novel truly her future? Lotelucia is so terrified that she collapses to the floor in a daze. Just then, she hears footsteps behind her. The next second, the book in her hands bursts into flames. It's Dad. He demands to know why she is in the study. Lotelucia turns around, pouting angrily. She's upset he burned the book without a word, not even considering what if she got hurt. Remembering how, in the book, after her death, Dad treated that adopted daughter so well, her anger boils over. And even if she lives peacefully here, she'll still die of illness in the end. The more she thinks about it, the more wrong she feels, since she's doomed either way. There's no need to deliberately avoid Dad. She might as well live as she pleases. With this thought, Lotelucia puts her hands on her hips and says boldly to Dad, "I came in because I wanted to." She has decided that from now on she'll do whatever she wants. Lotelucia crosses her arms, declaring she's not responsible for the burned book. Damien explains he can certainly tell what books are important, and he wouldn't leave important books lying around. Lotelucia interrupts him. "Whatever." At this moment, she fearlessly pouts in a sulk. Her attitude surprises Damien. A silence falls over them. Lotelucia steals a glance at Dad. To her surprise, her ice-cold father is now smiling broadly. This is the first time she's seen Dad smile like this. Did his brain burn up along that book? Damien strides toward Lotelucia. She quickly orders him not to come closer. Damien's smile deepens. "You used to only hide in corners and observe secretly, little one. Now you've gotten bolder," Lotelucia huffs, saying that before was just her adjustment period. "It looks like you fully adjusted now." The next second, he reaches out and scoops her into his arms, saying to himself, "You're my daughter after all. I should fulfill my responsibilities as a father." Then he snaps his fingers and summons Veronica, stating that Lotelucia will be taken care of by her from now on. Veronica curtsies to Lotelucia. "Nice to meet you." Lotelucia's eyes widen. She recognizes this person. Though she didn't appear in the book, she's the beautiful lady standing next to Dad. Realizing she has no close allies here, she thinks it wouldn't be bad to build a good relationship with Dad's confidant. Besides, she wants to investigate why she dies so suddenly, so she happily waves to Veronica. "Nice to meet you too." The next day, Lotelucia buries herself under the blanket and won't let Veronica pull it off. It's because she discovered in the book that she'll die in a few years, but she doesn't want to die like that, because she doesn't want anyone to find out. She hides under the blanket to carefully organize the useful information from the book. The book describes little about her, only that she died young, and in the future, the world would perish due to a demonic beast outbreak. How Lotelucia wishes the book's contents are false, that she won't die and the beasts won't won't emerge. Just then, her stomach growls. Veronica says she can go to the dining room first. Hearing this, Lucia happily pokes her head out from the blankets. Does this mean if she goes first, she won't have to eat with Dad? It always makes her uncomfortable to eat with Dad, so she runs to the dining room without looking back. However, when she arrives at the dining room, she finds Dad already sitting at the table waiting. Lucia awkwardly sips water, thinking to herself, isn't Dad busy with work? Why is he down here so early? Moments later, the food is served. Already hungry, Lucia can finally eat. But she can't cut the steak on her plate no matter how hard she tries. If she were eating alone, she could just pick up the steak and bite into it. The next second, her hand slips and the knife flies out. With a clang, the knife grazes Damien's face before clattering to the floor. Blood instantly seeps from his face. This scene terrifies Lucia. She timidly raises her hand, wanting to wipe the blood from his face, but she loses her balance and falls backward. Just as she's about to hit the ground, Damien swiftly bends down and catches her in his arms. He asks with concern, "Are you all right, my little daughter?" Lucia remembers this embrace. Dad held her like this before. In his gentle embrace, she sees the wound on his face even more clearly. Realizing her carelessness caused his injury, she apologizes dejectedly, which makes Damien surprised. He reaches out and pats her head affectionately, explaining that he has no intention of blaming her, instead worrying if she's frightened. Lucia always thought Dad disliked her, but it seems that's not the case. But she doesn't understand why Dad looked at her so coldly when they first met. But none of that matters now. She tries hard to remember how Mom cared for her when she was sick. In her memory, she lay sickly in bed, and Mom gently said she'd perform magic for her. In reality, Lucia mimics Mom, reaching her small hand toward Dad's face. Pain, go away! Silence falls for a moment. She grows nervous. Did my magic not work? The next second, Damien suddenly takes her small hand and presses it against his face. No, it's working. The pain has gone. Innocent little Lucia believes she has a natural talent for magic like her mom. Watching his daughter laugh heartily, Damien voices his doubt. I thought you hated me. A big question mark appears above her head. I hate you. Only then does she recall that when she first arrived at House Frodium, she always hid from Dad. She realizes that behavior would indeed make Dad misunderstand, just as she misunderstood him. As Lucia reflects, Damien has already cut her steak. I'm glad it's not true. Go ahead and eat. Already hungry, Lucia eats with gusto. To Damien, she looks like an adorable little squirrel. Noticing his food remains untouched, Lucia, emboldened by his affection, even scolds him that not eating properly will get him in trouble. Being scolded for the first time, Damien props his chin with interest and asks back, who would scold me? I'm curious who would dare. Lucia fearlessly replies, of course me. Damien is amused by her cuteness. I truly have a scary daughter. Though Lucia appears carefree on the surface, she worries deep down. Does Dad truly like her? Or is this just a passing interest? Damien quickly catches the fleeting change in her expression. He thinks children are all sensitive, so she must know he didn't welcome her when she first arrived. Recalling their first meeting, when seeing her black hair and faintly crimson pupils, he was absolutely certain Lucia was his daughter. But at the time, he didn't welcome her, because all along he had no idea she existed. Later, after a careful investigation, he found the magic circle that transported Lucia came from a forest covered in ice and snow. This reminded him of a woman who had said she would never see him again in this lifetime. Lucia's appearance meant the woman trapped there had passed away. Learning the truth, he began to feel for Lucia. This isn't her fault. Even if it were, I shouldn't have been so cold to her. So a week after Lucia arrived at the estate, he began to care for her. One night, finding Lucia absent from her room, he searched the estate. He discovered her wandering the estate like a ghost. Seeing her stumble unsteadily, about to fall, he quickly caught her and held her in his arms, listening to her soft breathing. His emotions were complicated. Is she asleep? Does she have sleepwalking disorder? After that, he belatedly wanted to get closer to her, but Lucia would either run away or hide. To avoid frightening her, he kept his distance during the day, only caring for her sleepwalking condition at night. Until that day in the study when he found her having wandered in by mistake, they finally resolved their misunderstandings. After that, whenever Damien returns home after a day's work, Lucia rushes into Dad's arms and acts cute, with her sweet childish voice. Dad, you're back! Knowing Lucia didn't grow up in a noble family and doesn't understand etiquette, he doesn't mind. He indulges her because he doesn't want to force her to become mature like an adult. His requirements for Lucia are simple, just basic literacy. At her age, she should play freely, so he has his chief aide take care of Lucia attentively. Lucia often acts cute to get Veronica to read her fairy tales. Veronica grants her every request. This day, under Lucia's charming persuasion, Veronica reads to her, so the humans united and drove away the bad demons. Hearing this, Lucia suddenly says, Veronica isn't bad. Veronica is startled by what she said. How did you know I'm a demon? Demonic presence can only be recognized between demons. However, she has heard that long ago. Some humans could identify demons. She assumes Lotalucia is one such case, so she doesn't care about it. She continues reading. In the northern forest lived a winter witch who could freeze everything. A thought suddenly flashes through Lotalucia's mind. The northern forest is where she and her mom lived. Could her mom be the legendary winter witch? But the next second, she immediately dismisses the thought, because mom isn't cold like winter. In her heart, mom is more like warm summer. Time passes quickly. Veronica sets down the storybook. She picks up Lotalucia because the Duke is taking Lotalucia out today. Yet on such an important day, she realizes Lotalucia has no proper clothes to wear. The sensible Lotalucia pats the dress she's worn many times. I think this dress is already pretty. Moments later, Veronica carries Lotalucia to find the Duke. She guesses this outing is for buying Lotalucia new clothes. Just then, voices gossip from a corner. I heard Veronica is personally caring for that child. That's a bit inappropriate, isn't it? After all, she's not His Grace's biological daughter and doesn't deserve such treatment. Hearing this, Lotalucia gets angry. She asks Veronica to put her down, then walks straight toward the gossipy maids. She asks coldly what interesting things they're discussing and could they share with her. She knows that this isn't the first time the maids have gossiped about her behind her back, but for some reason, she can't ignore it this time. Is she also worried she's not Dad's biological daughter? She also knows that while caring for her, these maids have felt a sense of superiority over her, because despite her noble birth, she's not favored, making them feel more noble than she is. The two maids appear flustered, not because they fear Lotalucia, but because Veronica is here. So one of the maids smiles and says they weren't talking about anything, telling Lotalucia not to mind it. Lotalucia's expression turns cold. She knows they want to brush it off, but she won't let it go. But I clearly heard you talking about me. You can continue. Why have you all gone silent? Do you all not respect House Frodium? The two maids, terrified, immediately kneel and apologize to Lotalucia, because at this moment, they sense from Lotalucia the same oppressive presence as the Duke. Seeing them properly frightened, Lotalucia doesn't want to pursue it further. After all, she's going out with Dad today, and he's surely waiting for her. Outside the house, Damien looks down at the late-arriving Lotalucia. You're late. Lotalucia stands straight, her mouth pouting slightly as she replies, I won't be late again. She doesn't dare act bold in front of Dad. Damien looks thoughtfully at the dress she's worn several times. Time is running short. Lotalucia waves goodbye to Veronica. She boards the carriage with Dad. This is her first time riding in a carriage, so she excitedly climbs to the window and looks outside. Every time she sees the outside world, she finds it amazing. Then she turns her gaze to Dad. Though their relationship has grown closer recently, he's busy with work. So aside from meals, this is her first time alone with him. Damien breaks the silence between them, asking if she's adapted to life at the estate. Lotalucia pouts. If you're really curious, can't you just come see me when you're free? She thinks indignantly that it's because Dad doesn't usually visit her that those maids gossip. Damien says gently that he'll consider it. The carriage falls silent again. At this moment, Lotalucia recalls the maid's words. She's always believed Damien is her biological father. The reason is simple, Mom told her so, and Mom wouldn't lie. But what about Dad? Thinking this, Lotalucia can't help asking, Dad, do you truly believe I'm your real daughter? Damien asks her back, do you think I'm not your real father? Lotalucia quickly shakes her head. She asks precisely because she believes he's her father. The next second, she clutches her skirt, thinking Dad must not have known about her existence before, or he wouldn't have gone so many years without seeing her. Damien teases, I didn't realize you see me as a fool who can't recognize his own child. Lotalucia waves her hands frantically. No, Dad, you are not a fool. Damien rests his chin on his hand, his gaze distant. I knew your mom. You're very much like her. Yet Lotalucia doesn't feel she resembles her mom at all. Soon they arrive at the most fashionable clothing store in the capital. The shopkeeper respectfully asks Damien if he's here to select clothes for this adorable baby. Lotalucia thinks dramatically to herself, gripping Dad's collar. He called me baby. Dad, go punish him. Damien says that rather than fashion clothing, he'd prefer several sets of comfortable clothes for his child. The shopkeeper says proudly, our clothes are enchanted with magic spells. The baby will definitely find them comfortable. Lotalucia purses her lips and mutters softly, I'm not a baby. Moments later, Lotalucia tries on dress after dress. No matter the style, she looks like an adorable little angel. The shopkeeper also praises Lotalucia, saying she's like a mannequin who looks pretty in everything. Damien asks the shopkeeper to bring out some summer clothes to try. Having tried on countless outfits, Lotalucia runs to Dad, her eyes pleading that she doesn't want to try anymore. To her surprise, Dad actually tells her she doesn't need to try more. But the next second, he tells the shopkeeper to package all the clothes she tried on. The shopkeeper's jaw drops. Lotalucia also gasps in shock. She runs to Damien on her short legs. Dad, it will cost so much money to buy all of them. She recalls her teacher telling her that money is limited and must be used sparingly. Watching his precious daughter being budget conscious even about buying clothes, Damien feels guilty. He changes his mind and buys all the clothing in the store that Lotalucia can wear. In the end, the shopkeeper packages everything as instructed. He curiously asks Damien whose child this is. After all, everyone in the capital knows Damien is unmarried and childless, so he assumes this is a child Damien sponsors. Hearing this, Lotelucia glares at him angrily. Damien also replies coldly, "She is my daughter." The shopkeeper instantly realizes he misspoke and apologizes frantically, explaining he didn't know Damien had adopted a child. Though Lotelucia sees Dad's expression hasn't changed, she can sense his mood has soured. Who would adopt his own biological daughter? In the evening, after returning to House Frodium, Lotelucia has fallen asleep. Damien signals Veronica to be quiet so as not to wake Lotelucia. Veronica tries to take Lotelucia, but he refuses. He'll carry her to bed himself. Inside the room, Damien gently places Lotelucia on the bed. "Good night, my daughter." After he leaves, an ominous black mist suddenly appears in the room. The mist seems alive, discussing how a child they've never seen has appeared at House Frodium. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a young boy seems able to communicate with the mist. He murmurs, "It looks like I need to go check it out." The next day, looking at documents piled as high as a mountain, Damien feels overwhelmed. Behan stands to the side, hesitant to speak. Damien sees he has something to say. He reports truthfully. Lord Behan sent word. He says he'll return in few days. Damien freezes. How did he not receive this news? Sure enough, among a pile of unread letters, Damien finds the letter. He asks Behan curiously how he knew. Behan replies, "Lord Behan predicted you wouldn't read the letter, so he notified me as well." Damien props his chin thoughtfully. "It seems he knows me well, but do I understand my daughter?" Though lately, Lotelucia speaks her mind freely before him. She was unusual that day. "Dad, do you truly believe I'm your real daughter?" And her expression showed this question had been weighing on her heart. Then he asks Behan if anything happened to Lotelucia at the estate before they went clothes shopping. Behan reports truthfully, "Two maids said Lady Lotelucia isn't your biological daughter, so you won't let her stay at the estate permanently." Hearing this, Damien's gaze instantly turns icy. He was merely being cautious to avoid frightening Lotelucia by approaching suddenly, but he never expected such rumors would spread. It seems necessary to make everyone clearly aware that Lotelucia is the true lady of House Frodium, Damien mutters to himself. Gossip might work. Behan doesn't understand what he means. Damien explains that humans love dramatic stories, so why not craft an appealing rumor? Say he had a wife he loved so deeply he kept her hidden, but she died young, leaving only a daughter. Because he cherished his daughter so much, he protected his daughter within the estate. As expected, within days, the rumor spreads throughout the capital. One day after a meal, Lotelucia tiptoes to Dad's bedroom door. Today her exploration destination is his bedroom. She knows at this time Dad is definitely in his office, so she boldly pushes open the door. She finds the bedroom, though lavishly decorated, doesn't look like anyone lives there. Walking into the room, she looks around and mutters to herself, "Well, Dad isn't human." Looking around the room, she discovers a portrait of Dad, expressionless as usual. Though the maids all say Dad is handsome, Lotelucia doesn't think so. Next to the portrait is a large painting of several people. Lotelucia doesn't recognize who they are, but she thinks they are all good-looking. Among them, the black-haired young boy especially catches her attention because she thinks he looks like her. She murmurs, "If I were a boy, would I look like this too?" Just then, Dad suddenly appearing behind her startles her. She can't understand why he always appears suddenly. As a matter of fact, Damien has been in the room all along and she just didn't notice. Feeling guilty, Lotelucia edges toward the door, ready to flee at any moment. Damien asks dryly if she wouldn't have entered had she known he was here. Lotelucia looks up with an innocent expression. "Dad, may I come in then?" Damien points inside. "If you don't want to stand there looking silly, come in." He asks why she came to his room. Lotelucia shows her cute little canines. "Do I need a reason to come in?" As a doting father, Damien says of course not, she can go anywhere in the estate. Lotelucia covers her mouth in surprise upon hearing this and excitedly asks if she can even enter locked rooms. Damien looks at her indulgently. She's already entered his locked room now. Just then, Behan knocks and enters. Seeing Lotelucia, he greets her cheerfully, "Lady baby, you're here too!" It turns out Damien thought Lotelucia might be hungry, so he had Behan bring some pastries. Looking at the lavish treats, Lotelucia is already drooling, but she still pouts and warns Behan, "I've told you, I don't like being called baby!" Then she scoops up a large spoonful of cake and holds it to Dad's mouth. "You eat too, Dad." Damien is somewhat surprised. "Me?" Lotelucia purses her lips. Who else would it be? Behan chimes in from the side, "I'm here too." Lotelucia thinks to herself, Behan just called her baby. She holds a grudge, so he doesn't get any. But she's held her hand up so long it's getting sore. And Dad still hasn't eaten. Dad, do demons not eat sweets because they're too picky? Hearing her know they're demons, Behan is shocked like Veronica. Damien hesitates, then finally accepts the cake Lotelucia offers and eats it. He asks Lotelucia what demons are like in her eyes. Lotelucia raises her small hand high to answer, "Demons don't bleed or cry. You are not entirely wrong." The next second, Lotelucia smiles mischievously. "Then should I exclude Dad?" Before Damien can answer, Behan interjects from the side, "And me? Exclude me too." However, this is all she knows about demons from that book. And because Dad wasn't the protagonist of that book, there wasn't much about him. So how much does she really understand about Dad? As if reading her thoughts, Damien asks if she wants to know about him. Lotelucia nods. She really wants to know. Behan teleports behind Lotelucia and covers her ears with his hands. Lady Baby only needs to know the good parts. Lotelucia doesn't understand. She thinks Dad, Veronica, and Behan are all kind. Meanwhile, Damien has already begun speaking. Demons are very warlike and occasionally drink blood. Learning this news, Lotalucia's hair stands on end. She realizes demon blood drinking isn't just a rumor. Seeing he wants to continue talking about demons, Behan quickly covers his mouth, telling him to stop. If you keep going, Lady Baby will hate us. She'll only meet us few demons anyway. It only makes Lotalucia more curious. But Behan clearly doesn't want to say another word. But Damien speaks bluntly, because of the barrier. Behan immediately looks at him with a long face, but Damien merely replies, "As you said, she won't meet other demons anyway, so there's no problem with her knowing." Behan still worries, after all, Lotalucia is human. But seeing her expectant eyes, Damien continues explaining, "The barrier separates humans and demons. Neither may cross." But Lotalucia doesn't understand how Dad, a demon, can be here. Hearing her question, Damien continues explaining, "Of course there's a way. There's a gate through the barrier, and this gate is now in my control." Lotalucia listens to the stories about demons while eating sweets. Before long, her belly is full and round. Meanwhile, Damien turns the bedroom into his office and begins handling official business. At this moment, Lotalucia recalls the painting she saw when entering the room. That young boy who looked like her intrigues her. She jumps down from the sofa, thinking Dad must know. Lotalucia waddles toward him, tugging at his sleeve playfully. "Dad, I have a question for you." After speaking, she pulls him by the hand to the painting. She points to the black-haired boy in the painting. "Who is he?" Damien follows where she's pointing and realizes it's himself. "That's me as a child." Lotalucia grows more curious. "Dad, who are the others?" Damien explains the others were his family when he was young. Lotalucia finds this hard to believe. "Dad, you have parents too?" She thought Dad just appeared out of thin air. Damien explains with a smile that though he has no biological parents, he has adoptive parents. Lotalucia recalls that when Dad introduced her to demons earlier, he said there are two ways demons are born. First, they can be born out of love between a man and a woman, just like humans. It's rare because demons rarely feel love, so most of them are born by the second method. A demonic beast is used as a host. Demons who grow up alone without guardians are no different from savage beasts, so few are willing to adopt them later. But Damien was fortunate. He was adopted by a human couple as a child. Speaking of this, a rare warm smile appears on his face. Lotalucia reaches out for a hug, thinking indignantly that people call Dad the Monster Duke because they've never seen this gentle side of him. Dad is clearly so warm. Damien knows that Lotalucia is a girl so sensible that it breaks one's heart. Since leaving her mom and coming to House Frodium, she has never cried out for her mom. She has never revealed her sleepwalking disorder caused by stress. Though she is a human girl, her demonic bloodline also affects her, giving her a more mature way of thinking than ordinary children. Perhaps when she left the forest, she vaguely knew she'd never see her mom again. He walks toward his little but strong daughter, reaching out and gently stroking her soft cheek. Lotalucia looks at him questioningly. Damien understands she doesn't feel secure here, though they're blood-related. They've never lived together, and in her heart, she doesn't consider this home. He says gently, "I hope this place can become a home you can always return." Hearing his words, Lotalucia freezes, as if her heart had been waiting to hear this all along. Tears flow uncontrollably from her eyes. Though she's always acted cheerful, she's actually missed Mom all this time. After leaving Mom, she felt like an unwanted child, thinking of her mom every moment. She throws herself into his arms, sobbing uncontrollably. Damien's hand hesitates in midair, before gently patting her back. There, don't cry." Lotalucia comforts herself that everything is fine now, because she finally has a place that belongs to her. At least, that's what she thought, until an unexpected guest arrives. The next day, Lotalucia mentions that she hasn't seen those maids who gossiped about her behind her back in quite a while. Hearing this, Veronica's expression instantly turns dark. The next second, she switches to a warm smile and tells Lotalucia that His Grace sent them back to their hometowns. Then Lotalucia notices the mansion seems rather noisy today. Veronica explains that the servants are cleaning rooms. She asks in confusion, "Are we having guests? But don't we have guest rooms?" She curiously asks Veronica who's coming, and Veronica tells her that her brother has arrived. Hearing that she has a brother, Lotalucia feels no joy. For her, this is more of a shock. She jumps straight out of bed and runs toward the living room. The book she read never mentioned anything about her having other siblings. Soon, Lotalucia stops in her tracks, because she spots a young boy at the living room entrance, talking with Behan. Behan sees her approaching and enthusiastically introduces, "Good morning, Lady Baby. This is Lord Behan. He's your older brother." Hearing this, Behan makes no effort to hide the cold glint in his eyes. He looks at Lotalucia standing on the second floor and says, "I don't recall hearing that father brought a child back." The sensitive Lotalucia senses his strong hostility toward her, but she hasn't done anything. The timid girl turns and runs back to her room. That evening, she sits alone on her bed, lost in thought. She thinks about how Dad for once didn't eat dinner with her today. She puffs out her cheeks, pouting. She wonders if it's because Dad is busy, or if now that Behan is back, Dad doesn't need her anymore. The more she thinks about it, the more upset she gets. She decides to just stop thinking. Maybe if she sleeps on it, everything will be better in the morning. The next day, the sun rises as usual. Lotalucia fusses in front of Veronica early in the morning because she didn't sleep well all night. She asks Veronica about her relationship with Behan. Veronica Veronica smiles and says they've known each other for a long time and get along fairly well, which makes Lotelucia feel even more dejected. That's true, she just arrived at the mansion recently. She certainly hasn't known them as long as they've known each other. With this thought, she decides to go for a walk alone. Maybe that will lift her spirits. However, the moment she steps out, she runs right into Behan. The air fills with awkwardness. Lotelucia silently turns around, wanting to retreat to her room. The next second, Behan suddenly appears behind her, gently picking up a strand of her hair. How strange. Lotelucia instinctively swats his hand away, panic rising inside her. She has no idea what he's trying to do. Behan stares intently at her. No matter how I look at you, you don't match father's preferences at all, because father prefers white hair over black and blue eyes over red, so he doesn't understand why Lotelucia is here. Lotelucia has no idea what he's talking about, and the dad he's describing sounds strange to her. Anyway, none of that matters since she's dad's real daughter, not for those strange reasons he's saying. Behan stares at her and asks, "You don't look useful either. Why exactly did father bring you back?" Lotelucia gets angry because he's not only saying something strange but keeps picking on her, so she huffs over to stand right in front of him. Pointing at him, she declares, "I'm dad's daughter. I don't need any reason to stay here. Do you have a reason for being here?" He answers matter-of-factly, "Of course, because I'm special." To Lotelucia, what he says sounds like he's telling her he's not like someone who came from outside like her. Of course, that's not what Behan means. Since His Grace has always handled imperial affairs, Behan manages matters on the demon side. Recently, he's noticed his workload has suddenly increased significantly. In addition, he used magic to learn that an unfamiliar child appeared at House Frodium, so he came to check it out. Later, he opens the door and sees Lotelucia, who just parted with him on bad terms, stomping angrily toward the main entrance. Could she be running away from home just because they had an argument? He really can't understand her. He tried everything to stay here, yet she wants to run away over something so trivial. But then he reconsiders. The main entrance is locked anyway. There's no need for him to worry about her. After some time passes, Behan is awakened by the sound of rain outside his window. Watching the pouring rain outside, he can't help wondering if Lotelucia, who walked outside earlier, has come back yet. He quietly closes the door. Whether she's back or not has nothing to do with him. He has no reason to worry. Besides, even if she gets rained on, so what? She's not going to just die from it. Suddenly, Dark Mist's voice echoes in his mind. Human children are very fragile. Getting rained on might actually kill her. Hearing this, Behan bolts upright. Meanwhile, Lotelucia huddles alone under a large tree, sheltering from the rain. Because she argued with Behan during the day, she wanted to come out alone to clear her head. But it started raining right after she left. The cold rain makes her shiver and sneeze. She wipes her nose, watching the rain get heavier and heavier, wondering how long she'll have to stay here. And even when the rain stops, once she returns to the mansion, she'll have to see that annoying brother again. At this thought, she curls up dejectedly. Is she going to be alone again? Just then, a voice sounds in front of her. So there you're. As expected, Behan came after all, bringing a coat with him. Without a word, he tosses the coat to her. Lotelucia hesitates for a moment, then awkwardly puts the coat on. Behan notices she's not completely soaked, and finally breathes a sigh of relief. If father's beloved human died from getting rained on, that would be troublesome. They stand under the tree in silent, awkward atmosphere. Only after the rain stops does Behan start leading her back. Lotelucia's little legs can't keep up with his pace at all. He looks back, sees she's falling behind, and deliberately slows down. Only then does Lotelucia gradually catch up to him, and she notices he got even more soaked than she did. Did he come looking for me specifically because it was raining? So she softly asks if maybe he doesn't actually dislike her that much like dad. However, Behan answers decisively without even turning around, "I dislike you. Because to stay by father's side, he worked so hard. Yet she easily replaced him." At this moment, Veronica discovers them, both wet from the rain. But she completely ignores Behan's presence and walks straight toward Lotelucia. She asks with concern if she's cold, while Behan walks expressionlessly toward his own room. Lotelucia is wrapped in clean, dry clothes by Veronica, and she feels Behan must be even colder than her. House Frodium is silent in the midnight. Lotelucia suddenly wakes to find herself standing alone in the middle of the hallway. It is obvious that she's never realized she's sleepwalking disorders, because Damien always appeared in time to take her back to her room before. Passing by a room, she unexpectedly hears what sounds like someone talking inside. She rubs her sleepy eyes and realizes it seems to be Dad and Behan talking. Are they discussing her? In fact, Lotelucia understands how Behan feels now and why he's hostile toward her. It's like when she read in the book that Dad got a new adopted daughter, who possessed things she could never have. So her heart filled with resentment. She hears Behan say to Dad, "If you want to play family games again, the people in the mansion should already be enough." Family games. These words pierce Lotelucia deeply. She doesn't believe that Dad would do that to her. But even if Dad doesn't think that way, Behan said adopting her was playing family games. She no longer has the courage to stay in this place, so she turns and starts running, even though she doesn't know where she's running to. However, the next second, Damien, who heard the commotion, catches up. He stands in front of Lotelucia, blocking her path. Damien is about to ask why she's here. Lotelucia's little fists already rain down on him like drops. "Dad, I hate you!" Damien asks why she hates him. She sobs, "Dad, you said this would be a place I could always come back to. But my own family doesn't welcome me. Damien picks her up and comforts her, telling her not to cry, but she still can't stop sobbing. He's curious who doesn't welcome her. Did Behan say something? She nods. Damien roughly understands what happened. He explains to Lucia that Behan isn't his biological son. To be precise, he's not even his adopted son. The next day, Damien tells Behan the truth about everything. Behan runs to Veronica to confirm. After getting her affirmative answer, he finally feels relieved. So Lucia is father's biological daughter. He had thought her situation was similar to his, because demons rarely have offspring. Demon nobles select talented children to raise as an heir. Both Veronica and he were chosen by Damien. Years ago, he gave everything to earn his grace's approval. So he thought Lucia came to replace him, but now it's clear he was mistaken. On the other side, Lucia is also shocked that Behan isn't actually Dad's son. But even though Dad said that, as long as they live under the same roof, how can she not care? Besides, Behan has been acting so hostile toward her all this time. Just then, she hears someone knocking at her door. Lucia thinks it's Veronica returning, and happily runs to open the door. However, when she opens it, she's surprised to discover the person knocking is Behan. Her excited expression vanishes instantly. She has no idea what he's doing here at this time. Behan nervously asks Lucia if he can come in. She nods, and his sudden politeness surprises her. It seems Dad cleared up the misunderstanding with him too. But now that the misunderstanding is resolved, why is he here? As soon as Behan enters, he apologizes to her. I'm sorry. I apologize for my thoughtless words before. His sudden apology catches Lucia off guard. She waves her hands frantically. I don't really care about that, so it's okay. Moreover, she remembers that even Behan still misunderstood her. He brought her a coat when it rained, so she doesn't hate him anymore. A huge weight lifts from Behan's heart. Thank you for accepting my apology. I'm glad I received your forgiveness before leaving. Hearing that he's leaving, Lucia is very surprised. He just got back. Why is he in such a hurry to go? It turns out Damien told him to leave. His existence was to pretend to be Damien's adopted son so he could smoothly inherit House Frodium later, because Damien had no heir before and didn't plan to marry. But now Lucia's appearance means he is not needed in human world. Hearing his explanation, Lucia feels guilty. She doesn't want her existence to make him lose his value. Besides, everyone at House Frodium now knows Dad has such an adopted son. Behan tells her not to worry. After he returns to the demon world this time, he'll never appear here again. His grace will treat his departure as a disappearance or accidental death, so she won't have to feel uncomfortable because of his presence anymore. Of course, that's not what Lucia means. While she doesn't need siblings, she doesn't want to take his place either. And she thinks he's a kind person, so she steps forward and grasps his hand. Don't go. Can't you be my brother? Behan shows surprise expression. Her action is clearly something he didn't expect. He kept misunderstanding and making things difficult for her, yet she accepts him unconditionally. He was always alone and he was just playing his role before. Though he still doesn't fully understand the true meaning of family, now he inexplicably desires to have a family. He gently takes Lucia's little hand and kisses it. This is the first time he feels he truly has family. However, the next day, Lucia receives news that Behan has already returned to the demon world. But yesterday he promised to be her brother. Damien explains that Behan has many matters to handle on the demon world. Besides, haven't you two had unpleasant experiences all along? Lucia sulks. That's true, but they made up yesterday. Or does he simply not want to be her brother at all? Just then, the dark mist speaks. That's not true. The sudden voice startles her. She quickly hides behind a chair and carefully asks Dark Mist, "What are you? Do you know Behan?" Dark Mist draws close affectionately and tells her that Behan is their master. Only then does Lucia relax. She immediately asks if Dark Mist can relay a message to Behan. When he said he'd be my brother, I was truly happy. On the other side, Behan receives Lucia's message. His face breaks into a smile. Okay, little sister. This day, Lucia is playing hide and seek with Veronica. It's her turn to find Veronica. She hears rustling sounds from the bushes behind her. Thinking Veronica is there, she excitedly runs over and parts the bushes. What greets her is actually her brother, who had already left. Seeing him again, Lucia asks excitedly, "What's going on? Dad said you went back." It turns out this is a surprise Damien arranged for Lucia all along. He sent Behan back to the demon world just to hand over his work. Now he can stay at House Frodium permanently as her brother. Behan curiously asks why she's out here alone again. Lucia explains she's playing hide and seek with Veronica, then pulls him along to help find her. Remembering his dark mist, she even wants him to use magic to find Veronica. Hearing this, Behan smiles indulgently. Although he'd like to do that, after coming to the Empire, he can no longer use magic. Time flies. After staying at House Frodium for a while, Behan becomes a complete sister-doting brother. Not only does he come to play with Lucia every day, but he's also exceptionally good to her. Perhaps the initial misunderstanding makes him feel constantly sorry toward Lucia. Now Behan has naturally become the young master of House Frodium, staying at the mansion. This outcome is completely different from what Lucia saw in the book initially, so she believes that book definitely isn't real. Lucia decides to ignore it. Unless the female lead from that book actually appears, or the demonic beasts truly break out. One afternoon, Lotalucia secretly asks Veronica why brother Behan can't use magic in the Empire. Veronica tells her that anyone who crosses the barrier retains less than half their magic power. All demon powers are restricted in the Empire, but in the fairy tales Lotalucia read, it often said that long ago, demons used magic to do many bad things in the Empire. At this moment, Behan, who just finished his work, appears behind her and tells her that most of those in the books weren't real demons but mixed bloods of humans and demons. Because of this, they have difficulty controlling their demonic energy. The chaos they caused after going mad was falsely attributed to demons through rumors. Lotalucia's heart sinks. She's also mixed blood. Will she go mad and die one day too? Veronica comforts her, saying His Grace examined her long ago and found she has no demonic energy that would cause madness, so this won't happen. Lotalucia lets out a long sigh of relief. If she has no demonic energy, people will only question whether she's Dad's real daughter. She suddenly feels very content. Though at first, because of the book's content, she wanted to live freely as she pleased. But now she truly wants to live peacefully here, because this is her home. These days, Damien has completely become a doting father. At the Noble Council, he should normally compile a report after it ends, but today he just wants to clock out on time and go home to hug his daughter. The other nobles are shocked by his actions. They never expected the Duke, who was always meticulous about work, to delegate such important matters to others. They speculate he is surely doing this to get home earlier to see his daughter. Hearing this, an idea strikes a man. If he can use Damien's fondness for children, perhaps he can establish a connection with the Duke. So he calls out obsequiously to Damien, who's eager to get home. Damien turns around, puzzled. The man seizes the opportunity to suck up. Your Grace, you must be rushing home to see your daughter. My daughter is about the same age as your daughter, so I completely understand your feelings. Damien thinks sarcastically to himself. If you understand, then why are you stopping me from going home? But hearing that he also has a daughter about Lotalucia's age, Damien thinks maybe he can learn some tips about getting along with children from him. However, not a single useful word comes out of the man's mouth. Damien simply ignores him, thinking about how Lotalucia has finally started acting like a child and doesn't act cautiously as much anymore. At this moment, the man says, "Children acting cute while act cautiously is so adorable." Damien stops in his tracks, his tone cold. "You think it's cute your daughter act cautiously?" The man frantically tries to explain, but Damien has completely lost his patience and simply turns and leaves. He's been worried lately about his daughter being so wary. After returning to the mansion, Bellant sees at a glance that his mood doesn't seem good today. Damien leans by the window, feeling particularly reluctant to work today. He sees Lotalucia playing in the courtyard. He wonders if he should just drop his work and go play with her. On the other side, Lotalucia plays in the courtyard with Behan and Veronica. She even put on the new dress Dad bought her today. Veronica covers her mouth in amazement. "My lady, you're so adorable." "Lotalucia's little mouth is sweet too, Veronica. You look pretty today too." The three sit in the shade to cool off. Veronica plans to get some snacks. After she leaves, Lotalucia asks Behan why he always seems uncomfortable when he's with Veronica. He smiles bitterly, explaining it's probably because Veronica came to House Frodium earlier than him. Lotalucia suddenly becomes curious about how he came to House Frodium. In fact, at first, Behan came here to search for his benefactor. Initially, he thought that by becoming His Grace's confidant, he might obtain more information. But in the end, he still didn't find that benefactor. But thanks to that benefactor, he met a good master and even gained family now, so he no longer asks for more. At this moment, Veronica returns and brings them delicious ice cream. Lotalucia's attention is immediately captured. After eating, having played since early morning, she falls asleep on the courtyard bench. Suddenly waking up, she wipes the drool from the corner of her mouth and sees Dad kneeling in front of her in an awkward position. Lotalucia curiously asks what he's doing. Damien awkwardly explains that he saw her sleeping so soundly, worrying that she would be uncomfortable here, so he wanted to carry her to her room. Seeing Dad here, Lotalucia thought Veronica called him over. However, Veronica waves her hand, indicating it wasn't her. Unable to get an answer, Lotalucia decides to ask Dad directly. "Dad, why did you come here?" Damien points to his office. "I just happened to see you from my office." Seeing him dodge the question, Lotalucia looks confused. "So, Dad, don't you need to work?" Damien is momentarily speechless. How could that be? "I'm the busiest person in the Empire." At this moment, Bellant quickly explains for Damien, although His Grace is very busy, he still wants to spend more time with you, which is why he put down his work to come find you. Veronica also speaks for Damien, "My lady, His Grace must want to be closer to you. After all, His Grace's ranking in your list of favorite people has dropped recently." Damien feels embarrassed by their teasing, covering his face and telling them to be quiet. Lotalucia gently tugs on his sleeve. "Dad, if you walk with me in the courtyard, I'll raise your ranking in my list of favorite people." But even so, Veronica is still number one. Damien instantly cheers up, lifting Lotalucia onto his shoulders. "It looks like I'll have to work harder to be number one." Behan also smiles and hands Lotalucia a flower. "I'd like to raise my ranking too. Can I bribe you with a flower?" Damien says the bribe is invalid because all the flowers in House Frodium belong to him. Lotalucia giggles and pokes Dad's cheek, saying he's too childish. Whether to accept the bribe is her decision. Lotelucia pins the flower in her hair, saying sweetly, "I love this bribe, so I'm accepting it." At this moment, Veronica asks Lotelucia when her birthday is, wanting to prepare a birthday gift in advance. Lotelucia doesn't remember the exact date, but the day before she came here was her birthday. Damien looks up and promises her he'll make that day a wonderful memory for her, and so the lively, hot summer passes. Autumn arrives with mountains covered in red leaves. This is Lotelucia's first autumn. The forest where she lived before only had winter, nothing but snow and bitter cold. Spring and autumn are her favorites. Veronica asks her what birthday gift she wants. Lotelucia thinks for a long time but can't think of anything she wants. Veronica asks if there's anything she wants to do. Lotelucia thinks for a moment and says she wants to paint a family portrait like the one hanging in Dad's room, or go on an outing together as a family. Soon Lotelucia's birthday arrives. All of House Frodium becomes busy because of her birthday. Damien dislikes noise, so he's never held a birthday party. But this time, he prepares a grand celebration for Lotelucia. Now everyone knows the most influential person in the mansion might not be the Duke but Lady Lotelucia. At this moment, Lotelucia is in a newly built greenhouse garden. Behan walks up to her carrying a large gift bag. He leans close to her little face and gently kisses it. "Happy birthday, my little sister." Lotelucia happily receives her gift and asks Behan if she can open it now. After getting his permission, she unwraps the gift box and discovers a teddy bear almost as tall as she is. She loves it. Just then, Damien arrives too. "I'd also like to hear what my precious daughter thinks of my gift." Lotelucia widens her curious eyes, showing her cute little teeth. "So Dad, where's your gift?" "Right in front of you." Lotelucia looks confused, circling around him again and again but not seeing the gift anywhere. Then she hears him say the greenhouse garden is his gift to her. She looks immediately shocked. "So this garden was built to be my birthday gift?" Seeing her expression, Damien thought she doesn't like his gift. Of course Lotelucia likes it, but more than this garden, she wants to paint a portrait with her family. Only then does Damien learn this is what Lotelucia told Veronica she wanted. He immediately says that's no problem at all. Hearing this, Lotelucia becomes overjoyed. She demands he absolutely can't back out because of work. A few days later, Damien finds Lotelucia with a pocket watch. It turns out, 2 days ago, as promised, he commissioned a famous painter to paint their portrait, and Lotelucia asked the painter for a favor. The pocket watch Damien brought is what the painter asked him to pass to Lotelucia. Lotelucia only wanted to try. She didn't expect the painter could actually do it. Damien curiously asks Lotelucia what this is. Lotelucia opens the pocket watch. Inside is unmistakably her mom's portrait. She wanted to have Mom painted while she can still remember what she looked like. The next second, she presents Mom's portrait to Dad, but Damien doesn't take it. Instead, he seems a bit nervous. "Daughter, didn't you have this painted to keep for yourself?" After spending so much time with Dad, Lotelucia has learned his way of speaking. What he really means is, can he really have this? Actually, she commissioned this portrait specifically to give to Dad, because she knows Dad's memories with Mom might be even fewer than her own. Damien stops declining and gently kisses the portrait because he truly wants this painting. Just then, a colorful butterfly flies in from outside the window. Spring has arrived. Damien will take Lotelucia to do the second thing she wanted. This is her first outing with family. She places the flower crown she wove herself on Dad. Damien feels embarrassed inside but says he loves it. Veronica praises Lotelucia's excellent skills from the side. Lotelucia confidently declares she'll make one for her too in a bit. Perhaps because the weather has warmed recently, Lotelucia finds today's sunlight particularly bright. The swaying tree shadows on the grass are also clearer and prettier than those at the mansion. She happily hops back and forth on the grass. Damien watches her puzzling behavior and curiously asks what she's doing. Lotelucia answers she's stepping on shadows. Though Damien doesn't understand her doing, he's already considering whether to plant some bigger trees at the mansion. Lotelucia guesses what he's thinking. She tells him what she truly loves is the feeling of being with family rather than the trees. To her, what's special isn't the trees, but that being with family makes her feel so warm. Lotelucia acts cute with Dad. "So can we come out together again next time?" They immediately make a pinky promise. Lotelucia suddenly stands up, because she remembers she promised to make a flower crown for Veronica too. Now she needs to go find flowers. Damien holds her back, wanting to go with her. "The forest is so big. What if you get lost?" Lotelucia doesn't want to trouble Dad, but everyone disagrees with her wandering alone. In the end, she decides to have her brother accompany her to find flowers. Damien reluctantly relaxes. Afterward, Lotelucia walks through the forest with Behan. She grew up in the forest, though this one is different from where she lived before. She's confident she absolutely won't get lost. At this moment, she sees a large clump of dry branches on the ground. Behan explains that many animals use these dry branches to build nests. These branches look fragile, but once they touch saliva, they become extremely hard. Lotelucia looks at her all-knowing brother with admiration like a little fangirl. Behan says these things also exist in the demon world, which is how he knows. Then he picks a pretty little flower and tucks it behind her ear. "It suits you well, Lotelucia." Lotelucia says seriously that she's looking for flowers that suit Veronica and him, not ones that suit her. Hearing there's one for him too, a wave of emotion surges through Behan. Is this what having family feels like? After searching for a long time, Lotelucia still hasn't found the flowers she wants, so they continue deeper into the forest. Behan keeps reminding her that if she's alone alone, she absolutely can't go too far. Moments later, Lotelucia sees patches of flowers on a meadow, all bright and beautiful. She picks one here, one there, until her arms simply can't hold anymore. Only then does she plan to leave. However, when she turns around, she sees a huge dark shadow gradually enveloping them. The next second, Behan forcefully pushes her away. Lotelucia only sees the distance between herself and her brother growing. She collapses on the ground, staring at this massive creature. What is that? But there is no time for further thought. The demonic beast viciously attacks them. Behan raises his arm to block the powerful strike. For him, born a demon, dealing with a demonic beast of this size is no problem. But he feels a faint stinging from the wound on his arm and realizes this might be a mutated demonic beast with venom. The poison needs time to spread, so Behan is confident he can handle it. He absolutely won't let this demonic beast harm a single hair on Lotelucia. After completely calming down, Behan unleashes his full power, completely suppressing the demonic beast's attacks. For a moment, it's hard to tell who the real beast is. Moments later, he wipes the sweat from his face. His sleeve is already stained red with blood. The demonic beast falls completely, seeing Lotelucia trembling. He knows his time with his little sister might be over. Perhaps from now on, he'll be as terrifying as that beast in her heart. Though he thinks this, he still walks to her side to comfort her, telling her not to be afraid. Lotelucia is indeed terrified, but she's afraid something will happen to him, afraid of losing him forever. Her words make Behan freeze in surprise. This feeling of being trusted and cared for by family is something he's never experienced. He quickly says he's fine and plans to take Lotelucia back. Lotelucia is also eager to get back to bandage his wounds. At this moment, the nearby bushes rustle. Behan is first to notice something wrong. His expression becomes extremely serious. He tells Lotelucia to hide behind him. A demonic beast, even larger than before, charges out from the trees. It stares at the corpse of the demonic beast being killed. It lets out an enraged roar. Then it suddenly launches a fierce attack, ramming into Behan. In the previous battle, Behan was already injured, and the poison lurks inside him, ready to act at any moment. Lotelucia is frozen in terror. She wants to help her brother, but she has no idea what she can do. Behan endures the intense pain and stands up. He tells Lotelucia to hurry back and find father. He'll definitely hold on until father arrives. Lotelucia's heart pounds violently. Fear and panic have completely taken over her mind. She knows staying here will only be a burden to him, so she turns and runs back with all her might. Seeing Lotelucia leave, Behan finally breathes a sigh of relief. Actually, he has no confidence he can hold on until father arrives. But right now, he can only do his utmost to stall this demonic beast, giving Lotelucia enough time to escape. But why would demonic beasts appear within the Empire? After all, demonic beasts can't enter the Empire because of the barrier. But the demonic beast doesn't give him time to think, launching another fierce attack. When Behan blocks the demonic beast's attack once more, he's nearly at his limit. However, Lotelucia suddenly appearing behind him makes his heart skip a beat, because she doesn't leave. Instead, she comes back carrying a pile of dry branches. Although she knows she'll be safe if she returns to Dad, what about Behan? She can't just abandon Behan and run away. Seeing the branches on the ground, Lotelucia remembered Behan once said these branches would become incredibly hard once they touch saliva, so she carried these branches and runs back. Just as the demonic beast opens its mouth to bite Behan, she throws the dry branches into its mouth. Taking advantage of this opening, she grabs Behan and they run frantically. After running who knows how far, Lotelucia gasps for breath. She can't run anymore. Hearing footsteps behind them, Behan knows the beast has caught up. Realizing they absolutely cannot stop here, he scoops Lotelucia up in his arms. Lotelucia looks back and discovers the demonic beast is right on their heels. But Behan suddenly stops, because in their frantic escape, they've reached the edge of a cliff. Ahead lies a bottomless abyss. Behind them is the vicious demonic beast. Lotelucia completely panics. She asks Behan what they should do now. Behan gently sets her down, trying to appear calm. He tells Lotelucia not to worry, just trust him. Then he looks at the cliff, knowing that if a human jumps from this height, it will definitely be life-threatening. But if he holds Lotelucia in his arms, maybe she won't get hurt. Moreover, there's no better option. The moment the demonic beast lunges at them, he holds Lotelucia tightly in his embrace, positioning himself underneath her. They fall straight down the cliff. After who knows how long, Lotelucia suddenly opens her eyes. She lost consciousness from the moment they jumped off the cliff. Looking around, she finds herself in a cave, but she doesn't see Behan anywhere. Behan hears the noise and walks in from outside. He asks Lotelucia to try standing up. Lotelucia notices he's covered in wounds. She knows these are all injuries from fighting the demonic beast and protecting her during the fall. Guilt and worry fill her heart. Behan comforts her, saying these wounds are nothing to him. The poison won't be fatal either. He'll recover after resting for a few days. He asks Lotelucia with mild reproach why she ran back instead of going to find father first. If it were you, would you leave me behind? Hearing this, Behan still maintains his view. After all, his status is completely different from Lotelucia's. But what's done is done. Now isn't the time to discuss this. He softly apologizes to Lotelucia. I shouldn't have snapped at you. I'm sorry, Lotelucia. It's my fault. Suddenly it starts drizzling outside. It seems they'll have to stay here until the rain stops. Behan relaxes a bit, because the rain will wash away their scent. The demonic beast won't track them down so quickly. Naive Lotelucia can't help sniffing her own clothes, wondering if she really has a scent. Then she feels terribly guilty, because she insisted on coming running out to pick flowers and got Behan so badly injured. Behan shakes his head. This isn't your fault. No one could have expected demonic beasts to appear in the Empire. Now they can only hope Dad finds them quickly. But Behan knows clearly in his heart that the demonic beast is also searching for their trail. Just to be safe, he decides to look for a way out once the rain stops. They can't just sit here waiting. However, the next second, intense dizziness attacks his brain. The sudden weakness nearly makes him collapse. Lotalucia in his vision quickly blurs. The demonic beast's toxins are taking effect. Lotalucia quickly catches him. Touching his forehead, the burning heat startles her. Realizing Behan has a fever, she helps the disoriented him lie down. Tears well up in her eyes. When will Dad finally find us? Meanwhile, Damien arrives in the forest with Veronica. A pool of black blood stands out starkly against the green grass. She recognizes this as demonic beast blood, and there are many footprints of various sizes around. Although they don't find the children's blood, that doesn't guarantee they're safe. After all, Behan can't fully unleash his power in the human world. Now they can only speed up and find them quickly. In the cave, Lotalucia, who has never taken care of anyone before, clumsily places a wet cloth on Behan's forehead. After repeating this several times, she crouches nearby, waiting for Behan to wake up. Behan has a high fever and mumbles in his sleep, seeing him barely conscious. Lotalucia thinks if she asks him questions now, he'll definitely answer truthfully. To be honest, she worries that Behan doesn't really consider her family in his heart, that he only takes such good care of her because she's Dad's biological daughter. Brother Behan, why are you so good to me? The barely conscious Behan replies, because Lotalucia is adorable, and you're still so young. Lotalucia wonders if that's all there is to why he takes such care of her. Behan continues. Most importantly, you chose to treat me as your family. Before coming to House Frodium, all he thought about every day was how to survive. Family was something he didn't even dare to dream of. But Lotalucia truly treated him as family. So how could he not cherish his only sister? Lotalucia turns her face away. Tears fill her eyes once again. Behan has always been so sincere, yet she kept doubting him. This makes her feel ashamed. Just then, the demonic beast silently closes in. The next second, it roars and lunges at Lotalucia. At the critical moment, Behan yanks her behind him. He plans to block this fatal strike with his back. Lotalucia closes her eyes in despair. They have absolutely no strength left to resist. But the attack never comes. It turns out Damien arrives in time and released a massive magic circle that sent the demonic beast flying far away. Not bothering to check if the beast is dead, he rushes anxiously into the cave. Finally seeing Dad, Lotalucia can no longer hold back her grievances. She throws herself into Dad's arms. Dad, I was so scared! Behan is badly injured too! Dad, why did you take so long to come? Damien holds her tightly in his arms. Like a child who's done something wrong, he keeps apologizing to her. Seeing Behan covered in wounds, he knows Behan did his best to protect Lotalucia. Behan, you fought bravely. Outside the cave, the usually gentle Veronica seems like a completely different person. The sword in her hands becomes an unstoppable weapon. Damien turns slightly so Lotalucia won't see the bloody scene outside. Let's go home. After returning to House Frodium, Behan starts discussing with Damien why demonic beasts appeared in the Empire. Considering that demonic beasts wanting to enter the Empire must pass through the gate, there should be records. Behan plans to go to the demon world right now to check. Damien gently pats his head, telling him to rest well since he's injured. Behan is pleasantly surprised and quickly says he only has minor injuries. After all, as a demon, he recovers quickly, but Damien has already decided to go himself. It's been a long time since he's been to the demon world anyway. Soon after waking up, Lotalucia learns that Dad has gone to the demon world. Veronica explains that his grace left in a hurry because seeing Lotalucia asleep, he didn't say goodbye to her. Lotalucia nods understandingly. This unexpected demonic beast incident is a big deal for her too. She can no longer ignore the contents of that book. However, thinking of Behan, she suddenly feels much more at ease. Realizing she hasn't seen him today, she immediately plans to visit him. She just reaches his room and peeks in. Behan sees her and asks if she came to see him for something. Lotalucia sits confidently on the bed. Do I need a reason to visit my family? Her words warm Behan. He takes out a jewelry box. Inside the box is a necklace. This is something he prepared for Lotalucia long ago. Then he personally puts it on Lotalucia. At this moment, Lotalucia notices he's wearing an earring she's never seen before. Behan explains that he made this together with her bracelet when he last returned to the demon world. There's a simple magic spell on it. If Lotalucia wants to tell him her location, she can use the bracelet to transmit it to his earring. Lotalucia nervously confirms with him whether it only works when she wants to tell him. After all, if she wears it while playing hide and seek, she'll be easy to find. Of course, I can't know normally. But what Behan doesn't tell Lotalucia is that there are other magic spells on the bracelet, but he hopes she'll never need them. Meanwhile, Damien has returned to the demon world to investigate the demonic beast invasion. But strangely, there are no records of anyone using the barrier gate during the time Lotalucia encountered the demonic beasts. Damien's expression becomes grave. As far as he knows, besides using the gate, there's one other way to enter the Empire. His subordinate thinks the demonic beasts couldn't possibly know that method, and that's exactly the problem. This impossible thing happened, and Lotalusha got hurt because of it. Moreover, as the manager of the barrier gate, he absolutely cannot stand by and do nothing. Just then, noisy sounds come from outside. The visitor demands to see Damien. After being stopped, he even tries to attack the maid. At this moment, Damien comes outside. Why threaten a child? The man is Otter, a duke from the demon world. In fact, even if Otter hadn't come, Damien was planning to find him personally. After all, Otter knows everything about demon affairs, so he should have heard about the demonic beasts appearing in the Empire. Otter says with a grin that he doesn't know what happened either. The next second, powerful magic surges from Damien, heading straight for Otter. Otter catches it effortlessly. He teases Damien with a smile. Your terrible temper really hasn't changed at all. Then they get down to business. He tells Damien that those who sent the demonic beasts to the Empire are completely baffled too, because they don't know how they did it either. Damien frowns deeply. He has a vague idea of who did this. Otter looks at Damien thoughtfully, because in the demon world, Damien has always been an outsider. Born lowly and raised in a human family, yet he obtained a title in the demon world. He even controls the entrance that symbolizes the highest power, so those who don't want to see him in power have been causing him trouble. They believe that if they can find a way to enter the Empire without using the gate, then Damien, who controls the gate, will be worthless. And this time they succeeded. After understanding the situation, Damien doesn't plan to stay. He's returning to the Empire now. Otter doesn't understand. Previously, he would always stay for a while, so why is he leaving so quickly this time? Damien doesn't look back and replies, because someone is waiting for me. Otter thinks he means his minion. The next second, he hears Damien say, it's my daughter, waiting for me. He freezes on the spot. With complete disbelief on his face, he rushes forward and shakes Damien frantically. Is the world ending? Even someone like you has a daughter? However, he had heard the story about Damien and the Winter Witch. His gossipy nature burning fiercely, he starts asking frantically, is her mother that witch? Damien seems to recall an unforgettable memory instantly and rebuts quietly, she's not a witch. Lotalusha's mother, Arcelia, is called an immortal woman with a frozen heart. Her story spread not only among the human world, but even widely throughout the demon world. Each version of the story is different, so the nicknames used for her vary. Some demons call her the Hated One, others call her the Winter Witch, the Cursed Witch. The most famous nickname is the Invincible Ice Witch. Meanwhile, Lotalusha is having an interesting dream but gets woken up by thirst. She reluctantly goes to the kitchen to drink water. She wants to drink quickly and go back to continue her sweet dream. At this moment, footsteps sound in the corridor. The drowsy Lotalusha instantly becomes alert, wondering who's walking around so late. Could it be a thief? Thinking of this possibility, Lotalusha gets startled. Would a thief really be bold enough to come steal from House Frodium? She peeks out toward the corridor and sees a dark figure silently approaching. Lotalusha shrinks back in fear. What should she do now? Should she run away quickly or call for help loudly? Just as she hesitates, the figure appears before Lotalusha. It turns out to be Dad returning from the demon world. Damien mutters to himself, I thought you stopped taking walks in midnight. Lotalusha is full of questions, not knowing what Dad is talking about. And why would she take walks in midnight? She only goes for walks during the day. Only then does Damien understand she wasn't sleepwalking. Lotalusha explains she came out to drink water because she was thirsty. But Dad, when did you come back? You didn't tell me when you went to the demon world, and you didn't tell me when you came back. She pouts to show she's unhappy. Damien quickly explains he came back too late and planned to see her tomorrow, not having seen him for days. Lotalusha has so much to tell him, but Damien says it's bedtime now. He's taking her back to her room. She nods obediently, saying after Dad takes her to her room, she'll take Dad to his room. Damien is amused by her words. Then, what's the point of me taking you to your room? Only then does Lotalusha realize. Then she can only take Dad to his room another time. Just then, several bright lightning flashes cross the sky, followed by rumbling thunder. She grabs Dad's clothes in fright. Damien asks if she's afraid of thunder. Lotalusha stubbornly says she's just startled, but seeing her frightened expression and her small hand that hasn't let go, Damien confirms she's afraid of thunder. He scoops her into his arms. My daughter, how about sleeping with Dad tonight? Lotalusha can't help thinking, she's so big now, can she really sleep with Dad? But thinking about how she got scared by the thunder, sleeping with Dad for one night should be fine. She blinks her bright eyes and then finds another reason. Maybe Dad is also afraid of thunder and wants to sleep with her. So she asks Dad directly. Unexpectedly, Damien nods and admits it. He is indeed afraid, because the thunder reminded him of the day Lotalusha got in trouble. Then he puts on a pitiful expression. My daughter, are you still going to leave Dad to sleep alone? This is Lotalusha's first time sleeping with Dad, whose bed is big and soft. She happily rolls around on the bed. Damien sits on the edge of the bed and tells Lotalusha to lie down. It's time to sleep. But they stare at each other. Neither of them falls asleep. Damien leans close to Lotalusha. Good night, my dear daughter. He hums a lullaby, gently patting her body. Lotalusha is stunned. She didn't expect Dad could sing lullabies. Damien says, a bit embarrassedly, that only 2 people in this world have heard him sing this lullaby. He asks her to guess and believes she can definitely figure it out. Lotelucia vaguely feels she's heard Mom sing this lullaby too. Speaking of Mom, she becomes interested again. She asks Dad to tell her about Mom. Damien doesn't know how to begin for a moment. In his memory, Arcelia was as pure and beautiful as ice and snow. To him, her appearance was like a tornado. She was so strong-willed and he was swept away by her spirit. But Lotelucia remembers that Mom said Dad was a very gentle person. Damien affectionately touches her little face, asking what kind of person she thinks he is. Frankly speaking, when she first met Dad, she thought her mother was lying. But now she thinks her mother was right. Soon, Lotelucia enters a sweet dreamland. Damien gazes at her tenderly, wishing her sweet dreams. The next day, Lotelucia returns to her room, but she finds the room completely empty. Seeing her return, Veronica tells her that His Grace ordered a bigger room for her. A moment later, seeing the new room, Lotelucia is instantly speechless. Because this room is really too big. Veronica explains with a smile that as the daughter of Duke Frodium, Lotelucia should rightfully have her own room in the main building. In fact, when she first arrived at House Frodium, His Grace arranged for her to stay in the annex building to help her adapt to the environment quickly. Lotelucia can't help thinking about herself in the book. Did she fail to adapt to the mansion's environment in the book? But fortunately, her relationship with Dad has improved now, and the servants' attitudes toward her aren't as bad as in the book. Lotelucia appears strong on the surface, but she actually needs family very much. Otherwise, she'll definitely become more and more isolated. Just then, a maid reports that Marchioness Cyrus has arrived. She is Lotelucia's tutor. Lotelucia really enjoys the lessons taught by Marchioness Cyrus. However, compared to the lessons, class ending is her happiest time. Lotelucia happily wants to see her teacher out. Marchioness Cyrus jokes, "Lotelucia, you're so happy the moment class ends. As your teacher, I might feel hurt. But do you have any peers to play with?" Lotelucia immediately thinks of Behan. Seeing her class is over, Damien sees Marchioness Cyrus out and briefly asks about Lotelucia's progress. Marchioness Cyrus extends an invitation to the Duke. She also has a son the same age as Lotelucia, so she wants to invite him to bring Lotelucia to visit House Cyrus. On this day, Lotelucia wears a beautiful pink dress. She lifts her skirt and performs a standard greeting, because today she's going with Dad and Behan to visit House Cyrus. The group walks into the mansion. After arriving here, Lotelucia feels like she's heard of the Cyrus family somewhere before. Usually whenever she plans to read books about nobles, Dad takes them away, because he thinks those people's status doesn't match House Frodium, so she doesn't need to know about them. Lotelucia has no choice and asks brother Behan how much he knows about the Cyrus family. Behan, who has helped father manage affairs for years, naturally knows. The Cyrus family reportedly has the largest knights in the empire, and rumor has it that every generation of the Cyrus family has a hidden ability. As far as he knows, father had a friendship with Marquis Cyrus before. Hearing that Dad has friends, Lotelucia is surprised. She thought Dad was someone who couldn't make friends. Just then, Marquis Cyrus hurries in. He greets them with a smile. At this moment, Marchioness Cyrus invites Lotelucia and Behan to play with her son Joshua. While happily calling Behan to go together, Lotelucia feels the name Joshua is very familiar. The next second, she suddenly remembers where this familiarity comes from. Because Joshua, as the only son of Marquis Cyrus, is the male lead in the prophetic book she read. The demonic beasts and the Cyrus family mentioned in the book have all appeared in reality, as if reminding her that the book's ending will definitely happen. In the book, Joshua doesn't have excellent physical abilities like his father, but he has strong talent in magic. Joshua never told anyone he can use magic, until demonic beasts appeared at school. Joshua appeared before the female lead in danger, and successfully rescuing her from the demonic beasts. After that, they fall in love. Eventually, they reach their happy ending. The thought sends a cold prickle of sweat down her spine. Behan doesn't notice her daze and urges her to go find Joshua together. Marquis Cyrus stands to the side looking unusually nervous. "You're all about the same age. You should be able to play together." But Lotelucia carefully catches his strange panic. She doesn't know if it's an illusion, but she feels he doesn't want them to play with Joshua. Suddenly she remembers the book mentioned that Joshua didn't inherit Marquis Cyrus's excellent physical abilities, so he wasn't favored when he was young. Lotelucia thinks Marquis Cyrus must feel his son isn't good enough and is afraid he'll embarrass him. Thinking of this, Lotelucia immediately puffs her cheeks and stares at him, grumbling internally. This uncle is a bad father. Led by Marchioness Cyrus, they arrive at Joshua's bedroom. However, he's not in his room. Marchioness Cyrus is a bit embarrassed. She tells Lotelucia and Behan to rest in the living room while she goes to find where Joshua is. She tells them they can also walk around, and if they see cats, don't be afraid. Those are kept in their mansion. After Marchioness Cyrus leaves, Behan asks Lotelucia if she's disappointed not to meet Joshua, but Lotelucia doesn't think so. Marchioness Cyrus said we were coming, but Joshua still disappeared. This means he probably doesn't want to see us at all. I don't want to know such an impolite person. Behan is a bit surprised. He thought Lotelucia had never made friends, so would be looking forward to it. Lotelucia shakes her head. "Behan, I have you on On the other side, Damien asks Marquis Cyrus questioningly about Joshua, because he clearly heard before that Joshua seemed to have had some kind of accident. Marquis Cyrus obviously doesn't want to say much. This time, he mainly has an important matter to ask Damien. Because demonic beasts have appeared in the Empire several times, he feels that Damien, who controls the barrier gate, must know about this. At this moment, Damien is deeply shocked. He always thought the demonic beasts entering the Empire only happened that one time he encountered, so it means Otter lied to him last time in the demon world. In the living room, Lotelucia has taken a nap and woken up. However, she still doesn't see Joshua, and even Behan has disappeared. Just then, a cute little kitten catches her attention. It wags its fluffy tail and walks out the door. Lotelucia's eyes light up. She can't help following it to the corridor. The little kitten lazily stretches. The next second, it kicks its little legs and dashes away. Lotelucia jogs after it, but unexpectedly trips on the carpet. She's about to fall. Suddenly, a pair of hands appears in time and catches her. Lotelucia looks up and sees a little boy about the same age as Behan and taller than her. There's only one person in this mansion who fits these conditions. That's Joshua. Joshua also looks at the unfamiliar little girl before him with confusion. Lotelucia quickly explains she was invited by Marchioness Cyrus. Only then does he understand she's the young lady from House Frodium who came to visit today. The next second, Joshua's pupils suddenly contract and his tone changes abruptly. I remember now. I know who you are. He pinches her little face. You've grown up. Lotelucia is terrified. She struggles to break free from his grasp, and she doesn't understand why he's saying these strange things when this is clearly their first meeting. You really don't look like Arcelia at all. Lotelucia is completely stunned. How does he know her mom's name? Mom never left that forest even once, because she was cursed. So the only people in this world who should know Mom's name are her and Dad. Of course it's because we've met before. I didn't expect you'd actually forget. Looks like your memory isn't very good. Lotelucia becomes indignant. She definitely hasn't seen him before, so he must be lying. At this moment, Behan notices them too. It turns out he realized Lotelucia was gone and followed to here. Joshua appears behind Lotelucia at some point. Looking at the bracelet on her hand, he says, "This bracelet was made by your brother. It looks like your family really cherishes you." Lotelucia quickly pulls back her hand. She doesn't want to interact with this weirdo. Behan thanks Joshua for keeping his lost sister company and adds that they're preparing to leave. In the end, Lotelucia leaves with Behan fuming. Watching the House Frodium carriage gradually disappear, Joshua looks thoughtful. Since that day, this is his first time seeing Lotelucia. If Arcelia hadn't told him Lotelucia was her daughter, he definitely wouldn't recognize Lotelucia now, because Lotelucia doesn't look like her mother at all. Thinking of Arcelia, Joshua's expression becomes grave. Because that woman once toyed with his family, he's still holding a grudge. At this moment, Marquis Cyrus comes in looking flustered, asking Joshua if he saw Lady Lotelucia. I didn't do anything to her. Why are you so nervous? Their conversation doesn't sound like father and son at all. Marquis Cyrus reminds Joshua not to forget their agreement. Joshua waves his hand. Mother will never know. I will become a perfect heir, father. A few days later, Lotelucia is watching Veronica practice swordsmanship. She wants to learn too. In that case, if she encounters demonic beasts again, maybe she can be of some use. Just then, Marchioness Cyrus comes to give her a lesson. Lotelucia happily runs outside to greet her teacher. However, the next second she freezes because her teacher actually brought Joshua along. Joshua shows an innocent smile and greets Lotelucia. Marchioness Cyrus explains that Joshua really wants to be friends with Lotelucia, so she asked for opinion of his grace. From now on, she'll bring Joshua to lessons. Lotelucia complains internally. Why is her teacher so strict with her but so obedient to her own son? And why did Dad agree to let Joshua come to House Frodium? However, under Marchioness Cyrus's gaze, Lotelucia shakes hands with Joshua with a fake smile. Lotelucia is the smartest little girl Marchioness Cyrus has ever taught. From the very beginning, when Damien asked her to teach Lotelucia, she worried Lotelucia would be a naughty girl. But after getting to know her, she discovered Lotelucia always surprises her. She can read and do arithmetic, and even solve more advanced problems. Such a Lotelucia makes her naturally compare her to her own son Joshua. Although he has never shown it in front of Marquis Cyrus, she knows Joshua is also that kind of very smart child. She doesn't know if it's because of this, but Joshua doesn't fit in with children his age. So when he took the initiative to ask to be friends with Lotelucia, Marchioness Cyrus agreed without hesitation. She believes Joshua and Lotelucia will definitely become good friends. Soon, Lotelucia finishes another arithmetic problem. Marchioness Cyrus praises her for doing wonderfully. She's about to teach her new knowledge, but Lotelucia notices that Joshua is no longer in his seat. In the courtyard, Behan runs into Joshua taking a walk. Joshua greets politely. In fact, he always feels Behan doesn't look like an ordinary child. To verify his suspicions, he asks if Behan has time. He wants to chat with him. In the room, Lotelucia completes another problem. Marchioness Cyrus suggests she can rest a bit. Lotelucia happily opens the window for fresh air, but discovers Behan and Joshua below the window, each holding a wooden sword and sparring. Looking closely, they're not just randomly swinging swords. She's seen how Veronica spars with knights, In other words, Behan is now practicing swordsmanship with Joshua. Marchioness Cyrus thinks they're fighting and is about to go down to stop them. Lotelucia tells her they're not fighting and should be fine. Marchioness Cyrus's heart leaps to her throat. She knows very well Joshua has no talent for swordsmanship. He'll definitely get hurt this way. Although Marchioness Cyrus says this, Lotelucia discovers Joshua seems to handle Behan's attacks quite easily. Behan can handle demonic beasts alone, and he trains in swordsmanship every day. Moreover, in the prophetic book she saw, it said, Joshua has poor stamina. Marchioness Cyrus thinks so too, so why can Joshua handle Behan's attacks? Before Lotelucia comes to her senses, Marchioness Cyrus is already running downstairs. She's still worried and wants to stop them. Lotelucia tells her to wait. She thinks running down is too much trouble. Better to just shout from the window. So she moves a chair to the window. She shouts at the top of her lungs, Behan, Joshua, stop right now! This trick works. Behan is the first to lower his sword. Joshua also stops. Behan tells Lotelucia to be careful not to fall from the window. Unexpectedly, his words prove prophetic. Lotelucia loses her footing. She falls straight down from the second floor, which frightens Behan and Joshua badly. When Lotelucia opens her eyes again, she sees Joshua caught her. This is the first time I've seen someone use a window as a door. Hearing his familiar teasing, Lotelucia realizes she's been saved. She jumps from his arms. Behan, still shaken, hugs her. Then he walks to Joshua and thanks him. Thank you for saving my sister. Lotelucia tells Behan she wants to speak with Joshua alone. Behan trusts Lotelucia completely, so he leaves first. Lotelucia and Joshua walk to the deserted back garden. Thank you for saving me. Your sword practice was impressive. She slyly shows her little canine teeth. Is it because your father leads the knights that you also have talent for swordsmanship? Lotelucia asks this to confirm something. The prophetic book said Joshua was weak and sickly but had strong magical talent. This Joshua she saw today is completely different. Does this mean recent events are just coincidence and reality isn't developing like in the book? Joshua admits it readily, because saving Lotelucia exposed him in his mother's eyes, so he blames it all on Lotelucia. Lotelucia asks him why he suddenly wanted to practice swords with Behan. This is just because Joshua wanted to confirm something from Behan. After all, magic cannot be used at all in House Frodium, but Behan can make magic necklaces for Lotelucia. This confuses him. Lotelucia is indifferent. She thinks it must be because Behan is capable. Joshua believes that because Lotelucia can't use magic, she doesn't understand what it means to use magic in a place where magic cannot be used. Lotelucia isn't interested in the topic itself, but based on what he's saying, she can't help but wonder if he can use magic too. Joshua crosses his arms. Of course he can use magic, but to avoid trouble, he's never shown it in front of outsiders. At his words, the blood drains from Lottie's face, because if he can use magic, then he matches the description in the Book of Prophecy perfectly. Does this mean she still can't escape what was written there after all? The next morning, Lotelucia buries her head in the pillow and refuses to get up. Damien also notices she has a bad mood lately. He crouches by the bed and asks her gently, "Why so unhappy? Can't you tell Dad? My little daughter." Lotelucia presses her lips together and shakes her head. She feels, even if she tells Dad, he won't believe her. After all, that book says she'll die in a few years, and so far, things prophesied in the book have been happening one after another. Damien shows gentle expression. He doesn't force her. If she doesn't want to say, she doesn't have to, but he hopes she knows he'll always be by her side. A few days later, Lotelucia visits the Imperial Palace with Dad for the first time. She's surprised to discover the Imperial Palace is even bigger than House Frodium. Damien says confidently that if Lotelucia likes, he can build House Frodium even bigger than the Imperial Palace. At this time, the nobles spot Damien's arrival and crowd around to greet him. They've long heard that Damien has a precious daughter. Seeing her in person today, everyone is completely charmed by adorable Lotelucia. They swarm around, wanting to pat her head. But in the next second, Damien scoops Lotelucia up and walks straight into the palace, ignoring the nobles staring longingly. He thinks with displeasure, "All of them are much too interested in my daughter." Meanwhile, Joshua arrives at the palace with Marquis Cyrus. Marquis Cyrus is utterly confused. Joshua used to hate troublesome affairs like these, but recently he suddenly declared he would become a proper heir, even following him to the palace to build connections. What's more, just 2 days ago, he even was discovered by his mother that he knows swordsmanship. Thinking of this, Marquis Cyrus has a headache. Joshua calls him by name directly, telling him not to worry because Marchioness Cyrus didn't notice anything unusual. Marquis Cyrus nearly jumps in anger and warns him they're in public. Only then does Joshua reluctantly call him father. At this moment, a guard bows to them and tells them His Grace has already taken Lady Lotelucia inside. Hearing that Lotelucia is also here, Joshua suddenly grows excited and quickly urges Marquis Cyrus to hurry inside. Arriving at the palace, Joshua is told he can only wait outside, but he doesn't mind because it seems Lotelucia didn't go in either. Maybe he can find her somewhere nearby. Meanwhile, Damien is having a private audience with the Emperor. When the Emperor was still a prince, Damien had already become the Duke Frodium. The reason he, as a demon, could take the position of Duke was because he had a contract with the late Emperor. As long as he was made Duke Frodium, he would properly manage the Barrier's Gate and remain loyal to the Emperor. The Emperor asks flatteringly why he didn't bring his daughter, adding that he really wants to meet her. Damien didn't expect that news of his daughter had reached the Emperor's ears. But how could the Emperor not pay attention? After all, in House Frodium full of demons, Lotelucia is the only human. Of course he hopes Lotelucia Lotelucia, as a human, can inherit the title of Duke Frodium. Damien lets out a cold laugh. After managing the barrier's gate for years as Duke Frodium, the Emperor still prefers to trust humans. He slowly walks toward the Emperor, his powerful presence nearly suffocating him. In the demon world, I'm rejected for siding with humans, but the humans who know my true identity treat me like this. How ridiculous. Have I not been loyal enough to the royal family? However, I have no designs on the Empire. After all, I'm the only demon who stayed in the Empire for humanity's sake, so all your worries are baseless. He asks the Emperor directly what business he has summoning him. The Emperor coughs to mask his embarrassment. He's looking for Damien naturally because of the demonic beasts appearing in the Empire. Damien knows how serious this is, and explains those demonic beasts never used House Frodium's gate according to records. However, he's certain something is wrong with the barrier separating the Empire and the demon world, and it's likely related to Lotelucia's appearance. Meanwhile, Lotelucia explores the palace alone while Dad meets with the Emperor. The palace maids recognize Lotelucia as the young lady of House Frodium and greet her warmly. Lotelucia runs along happily. When she comes to her senses, she realizes she's lost and there's no one around her. She continues walking deeper into the palace. A towering tree stands before her. She's never seen such a huge tree, though she hasn't found her way back yet. She feels that coming out for a walk has cleared all the bad thoughts from her mind. Could it be that the version of herself in the book died from depression because she didn't go out often enough? Just then, a young voice sounds behind her. Who are you? It's a little boy with golden hair. Who are you? Not just anyone can enter this courtyard. Lotelucia wonders curiously if this boy manages the courtyard. He smiles and says he could be considered its manager. Seeing this, she's a bit scared that she'll be scolded for coming in without permission. She begs him to keep her secret. After all, she was already lectured by Dad recently for falling from a window. The boy rests his chin thoughtfully for a moment. Since no one else noticed, I'll keep your secret. After all, I'm the person with the highest status in this courtyard. Lotelucia happily asks what the boy's name is. He introduces himself as John, and politely invites Lotelucia to tour the courtyard together. Then they walk around the courtyard. He asks if Lotelucia has any worries, because when he first saw her, she looked troubled. Lotelucia falls into thought. Of course she's still thinking about that book's contents, and she doesn't dare tell anyone around her, because her family definitely wouldn't believe her, or they'd worry terribly. Neither outcome is what she wants. Looking at John beside her, she thinks maybe she can tell someone she barely knows. There's something about my friend. Do you know how to avoid death? John finds it hard to understand why someone so young is already thinking about this. People die when they get old. That's the natural order. Lotelucia stands up and emphasizes it's not natural death from old age, but sudden death from unknown causes. After talking for a while, she still can't explain it clearly. She thinks to herself that John must find her strange, but to her surprise, he seems to understand what she means. I have a friend who seems to fit what you described. It's not that there's no way to avoid death at all. Then he leans close to her ear and whispers a few words. After hearing this, Lotelucia is too shocked to speak. John tells her that what he just said was told to him by his friend. Although his friend ultimately failed, Lotelucia can't help but wonder, John, did this actually happen to you? John flatly denies it, saying it was told to him by a close friend. At this moment, a guard approaches and whispers in his ear, "It seems I have to go. I enjoyed today, little girl," until John walks away. Lotelucia realizes she forgot to ask him for directions. She's still lost in this courtyard. Then, noticing Joshua has appeared in the palace, she's greatly surprised. Joshua explains he came in with Marquis Cyrus. Hearing him call Marquis Cyrus by name instead of father, Lotelucia argues, "Last time you also called your mother by name directly. That's so strange." Joshua argues back, "I'll call them whatever I want. Unlike you, you get lost all the time." Lotelucia stubbornly insists, "Dad is the one who got lost. I'm looking for him." In the next second, Joshua extends his hand gentlemanly. "Then come with me. I know where his grace is." His sudden change stuns Lotelucia for a moment, but thinking that he hasn't done anything annoying today, she trustingly places her hand in his. On the way back, they don't say a word. Joshua breaks the awkward silence first. "Why are you so quiet today? Last time you met me alone, I thought you were interested in me." Lotelucia thinks to herself that last time she just wanted to confirm if Joshua was the same as the male lead in the book. She has no interest in him now. Unexpectedly, Joshua's expression suddenly darkens. "Even if you don't remember me, it doesn't matter. Since I mean nothing to you, what can I do?" Lotelucia doesn't know what to say. Why does she feel like she's become the bad one? Joshua pulls her in front of him. "Do you really not remember? Didn't I tell you that if you left that forest, you should come find me at the Cyrus estate?" Hearing these words, Lotelucia seems to remember something. She remembers one winter. She encountered a lizard in the forest. Only now does she realize Joshua was that lizard from back then. Joshua immediately clarifies he's a dragon, not a lizard. Lotelucia's mind instantly goes into chaos, not from shock that Joshua is a dragon, but from what John quietly told her about stopping death. To delay death, you need a powerful and pure dragon's heart. In other words, if she had Joshua's heart, she could extend her life. Lotelucia's heart pounds wildly. She realizes how awful this thought is. John is just a stranger she met once. How can she trust his words? Besides, no matter how powerful a dragon is, it can't survive without a heart. Would she hurt Joshua just to keep herself alive? Seeing her lost in thought, Joshua can't help but ask what she's thinking thinking about? Lotalucia says nothing and continues walking back, holding his hand. Joshua's joy is written all over his face. Lotalucia asks why he's so happy. He says with a smile, "Because you didn't forget me after all." It turns out he once accidentally entered that forest of eternal winter. He was seriously injured and dying when Lotalucia happened upon him. Arcelia doesn't allow any creature to enter the forest, but after Lotalucia's pleading, she reluctantly agreed to let him stay and recover. "It has been long time since I last saw you, and yet you're still a baby. I heard dragons don't grow while they sleep. That must mean you have been sleeping ever since your siblings died." At the mention of his siblings, the dragon's fury surges. He's always believed Arcelia was involved in his sibling death. Lotalucia hugs the angry dragon just in time. Under her adorable charm, he immediately loses his temper, and so they lived together in the forest for a while. Though Arcelia agreed to let the dragon stay, she never looked after him. Instead, Lotalucia got medicine from her mother to care for him until his injuries healed. She demanded he thank her, since she'd taken care of him for so long. But the dragon said proudly he'd consider whether to say thank you next time they met. Lotalucia was unhappy because she couldn't leave the forest. The dragon touched her nose. "I'll come find you again. If you leave this forest before I return, come find me at the Cyrus estate in the capital." After that, he returned to the Cyrus estate. He often thought of Lotalucia because she was the only friend he made as a dragon. In reality, Joshua holds Lotalucia's small hand, his face full of joy, "Thank you." Lotalucia is a bit confused, not understanding why he's suddenly thanking her. Joshua refuses to explain. At this moment, Damien walks over with Marquis Cyrus. Lotalucia spots him from afar and immediately rushes over with open arms. Damien's expression darkens, his grim tone nearly frightening Marquis Cyrus beside him. "My daughter, this is your first time at the palace, so you definitely don't know the way. Yet instead of waiting outside, you disappeared. How do you think that makes me feel?" Lotalucia's joy instantly vanishes. She immediately apologizes dejectedly. "I was wrong, Dad. Are you angry?" Damien can't bear to keep scolding her and gently pats her head. He warns her not to do this again, and turns to thank Joshua for bringing the lost Lotalucia back. Joshua shows a sly smile and asks Damien if he can be friends with Lotalucia and see her often from now on. Damien also hopes Lotalucia has more friends her age, so he readily agrees. Joshua happily thanks Damien and says he'll visit House Frodium often. Damien says he'll have the servants prepare in advance. Hearing their conversation, Lotalucia and Marquis Cyrus stand with shock. From this day on, Joshua frequently visits House Frodium. Time flies. 3 years later, Veronica reports to Lotalucia that there's a visitor. Without thinking, Lotalucia knows it's Joshua again. Gradually, she finds playing with Joshua more fun than she imagined. Moreover, Behan seems very busy lately and hasn't had time to keep her company. In the afternoon, Lotalucia and Joshua rest in the courtyard. Joshua hopes Lotalucia can also visit the Cyrus estate. Since he's always the one coming to House Frodium, Lotalucia would like to go, but if Dad doesn't have time, she can't. Joshua thinks Damien's protection of Lotalucia is a bit excessive, since all of House Frodium has magical barriers. He can't use magic here at all, because when someone uses magic, House Frodium automatically activates tracking magic to trace whoever used magic. Lotalucia explains the tracking magic probably wasn't set up specifically for her, because when she first arrived here using her mother's magic circle, Dad immediately detected her arrival. That was probably the tracking magic at work. Joshua is even more surprised, because ordinary mage families don't use such extensive tracking magic, but he wants to try breaking through this barrier. If he can, he wants to show her magic. At this moment, the Cyrus carriage arrives at House Frodium's entrance. After Lotalucia sees Joshua to the carriage, she prepares to return to her room. In the corridor, she runs into Behan, who was looking for her. Lotalucia feels a bit regretful. Joshua just left. It would have been nice if they could have played together. Behan stammers awkwardly. "Lotalucia, doesn't he come a bit too often?" Lotalucia asks in surprise. "Behan, do you dislike Joshua?" Behan quickly explains, "Of course not. Joshua is your good friend and has helped you many times, but he seems to be trying to get close to House Frodium and he doesn't look like a good person. As your brother, I can't let him approach you so brazenly anymore." Lotalucia understands Behan is probably jealous. "I like family more than friends. Behan, are you like this because it seems like Joshua and I have a better relationship?" Hearing her voice his inner thoughts, Behan's face turns red with panic. He wants to argue, but Lotalucia says she already understands why he thinks this way, because if he spent every day with Joshua instead of playing with her, she'd be even angrier than he is. Then Lotalucia asks if he was looking for her about something, but Behan says it's nothing and says goodbye before leaving. Though Lotalucia finds it strange, she doesn't think much of it. A few days later, Marchioness Cyrus finishes teaching Lotalucia as usual. Suddenly, she thanks Lotalucia for getting along so well with Joshua, because he was sickly from birth, and even the doctors said he might not live long. For this reason, Joshua never had friends. But since meeting Lotalucia, his health condition has improved, and he's even taken up swordsmanship recently. Lotalucia can't understand why the Joshua she knows doesn't sound like the same person the teacher describes. So when she sees Joshua again, she demands with hands on hips, "You're not the real Joshua. Where did the real Joshua go?" Joshua says he doesn't know what she's talking about. Lotalucia won't be fooled easily now. The Joshua she knows is this dragon before her who knows swordsmanship and magic. But the Joshua in her teacher's mind was physically weak from birth. So it means the Joshua the Marchioness carried for 10 months has been taken over by this dragon. dragon. Joshua finally stops pretending. He can tell her the truth, but only if she keeps his secret from the Marchioness. Don't worry, Joshua has been me all along. It's not as you fear that I've improperly taken someone else's place. It was one day after he had slept for a long time as a dragon. Marquis Cyrus suddenly came to his lair to find him, since the Cyrus family ancestors once made a contract with him to help them when needed. So when he saw Marquis Cyrus holding a child without breath, he already guessed what was wanted. Marquis Cyrus explained in anguish that since his son had passed, his wife cried constantly and her mental state deteriorated. He feared losing his wife after losing his son, so he came to seek for his help. But even a dragon can't bring the dead back to life. There are rumors that a heart-bearing dragon magic can bring someone back to life, but these are just rumors. Marquis Cyrus also understood reviving his child was impossible. He came wanting the dragon to take his son's place, just so his wife could see the child grow up. That was his only wish. The next day, Lotelucia looks worried. She never imagined Joshua carried such a story. Seeing her tired face, Behan thinks she didn't sleep well last night. Lotelucia wants so badly to share about Joshua, but remembering he made her promise absolute secrecy, she immediately closes her mouth. Behan tells her to sleep a bit more. Lotelucia doesn't want to. The next second, Behan scoops her up. Since you're tired, you should rest. He places her on the bed and thoughtfully tucks her in. Lotelucia playfully grabs his sleeve. She asks him to sleep with her for a bit and leave once she's asleep. Behan feels awkward about sleeping in her bed. Lotelucia gets upset. She rolls around in his bed all the time, and she's not a stranger to him. Hearing her words, Behan stops resisting. A moment later, seeing Lotelucia fall asleep, he quietly leaves. In her dream, Lotelucia returns to when she first arrived at House Frodium. The maids openly gossip that she's not Damien's biological daughter, so she erupts. "My mother told me he is my father. What gives you the right to say such things?" She angrily grabs the maid's collar. In reality, Joshua, who came to visit Lotelucia, gets lifted up. With his feet dangling, he asks in disbelief, "What kind of dream were you having to welcome me like this?" Lotelucia ponders she wouldn't do such a thing in reality, but she thinks she also wasn't wrong in her dream. Anyone would get angry in that situation. She instinctively thinks the version of her in the dream might be herself from the book. Because she always argued with the maids, everyone was dissatisfied with her. Over time, vicious rumors about her spread. Then Joshua interrupts her thoughts and asks her to play with him. Afterward, they go to the dining room for snacks. Joshua suddenly tells Lotelucia, "Maybe before long, I won't be able to come play with you every day." Lotelucia doesn't immediately grasp what he means. Joshua explains his mother plans to send him to the Noble Academy. Hearing this, her heart skips a beat. Noble Academy is a school only families with very high status can attend. Joshua certainly qualifies, but the problem is this overlaps with the prophecy book's contents again. Soon he'll meet the female lead Dahlia at Noble Academy. He'll forget he ever had her as a friend, just like in the book. This fact makes Lotelucia panic. Really? I'm so envious. You must need to prepare a lot of things, right? Joshua looks disappointed. He asks if Lotelucia has nothing else to say. If he goes to the Noble Academy, he can only come back to play with her during breaks. At this moment, Lotelucia's mind is in chaos. She doesn't grasp what Joshua is implying. We won't be able to see each other like this anymore. Even so, you have nothing to say. In his view, if Lotelucia said she was going somewhere, he'd definitely be very sad and couldn't help sneaking off to find her. But ultimately, he doesn't hear such words from her. He can only spend the whole day gloomy at House Frodium before going home dejected. Lotelucia lies in bed, though Joshua going to the Noble Academy makes her panic immensely. After calming down, she realizes if he leaves, no one will come play with her every day. So she makes a huge decision. She'll go to the Noble Academy too, but she's immediately refused by Damien. After being rejected, Lotelucia starts acting cute. But Damien is unusually firm. Lotelucia pouts in displeasure because Dad has never opposed her so firmly before. Damien refuses to say more and insists that no matter what, Lotelucia cannot leave House Frodium. Her pleading fails, so she huffily leaves the room. After Lotelucia leaves, Bellant brings the latest news about the demonic beasts. Namely, whoever is sending the demonic beasts in is now very certain the barrier has weakened. Next, they'll start trying to send actual demons to the Empire. The next day, Lotelucia attends class restlessly. She asks Marchioness Cyrus if non-students can visit Noble Academy. Marchioness Cyrus explains with a smile that it's generally not allowed for student safety. Lotelucia's face falls instantly, because she had hoped to go visit Joshua. Unexpectedly, Marchioness Cyrus looks puzzled, because Joshua already refused her. He never agreed to enroll. He said if it's for studying, he can achieve good results at home. If it's for swordsmanship, he can increase his training. In short, Joshua never agreed to go to Noble Academy from the start, and Marchioness Cyrus ultimately didn't want to pressure her son. Hearing this result, Lotelucia immediately cheers up. But thinking that Joshua lied to her when he never planned to go to school, she's fuming. When she sees Joshua, she'll definitely give him a piece of her mind. Meanwhile, Behan has been thinking about Lotelucia and Joshua these past few days. Though Lotelucia said she likes family more than friends, he feels that the more time Lotelucia spends playing with Joshua, the better their relationship will definitely become. He can't just wait for that day to come. In the corridor, Joshua waits for Lotelucia to finish class. Behan appears before him at this moment. He hints pointedly, I've been seeing you around the house so much lately, I almost think you're part of House Frodium. In his heart, he wants to tell him not to come so often. Just then, Lotalucia hurries over to Joshua after class, about to confront him, only to find Behan and Joshua talking. She doesn't know Behan is thinking that rather than letting Lotalucia and Joshua play together every day, he might as well join them so he'll feel more at ease. Lotalucia thinks maybe Behan also wants to be friends with Joshua. She curiously asks what they were doing. Both say in unison, "Nothing. We weren't doing or saying anything." Lotalucia is startled. Could Behan and Joshua already be perfectly in sync despite just meeting? They even said the exact same thing. She makes them promise that even if they become close, they can't neglect her. Joshua suddenly remembers he brought Lotalucia a big piece of strawberry cream cake because he heard last time she likes it, so he specially got one for her this time. Lotalucia cups her face in delight. "I was just wanting dessert after class. This is perfect." Watching her happiness, Joshua casually glances at Behan. Behan stands to the side looking dejected. At this time, Veronica walks over, saying His Grace wants to see Behan. After he leaves, Lotalucia remembers about the Noble Academy and demands to know why Joshua lied to her, making her lose sleep all last night. Joshua looks surprised. She seemed so indifferent yesterday, so why did she lose sleep over him? For some reason, he feels inexplicably happy. "Lotalucia, you also don't want to be separated from me, right?" In fact, Joshua didn't really lie, because Martian Cyrus really almost sent him to Noble Academy. His face fills with an irrepressible smile. "I'm not going." "Are you happy?" Lotalucia says huffily. "Not at all. Therefore, the Noble Academy incident seems to pass. But there's actually someone else going to the Noble Academy." Lotalucia hugs Behan tightly and won't let go because he's about to enroll. Her eyes fill with tears. Of course she doesn't want him to leave, because with him gone, only Joshua will be left to keep her company. But Behan can't be as willful as her, because House Frodium might need connections with the Noble Academy in the future. Besides, father doesn't plan to make Lotalucia the heir. If so, he'll likely inherit House Frodium, so he must improve himself. Hearing this, Lotalucia's eyes light up. She asks if he doesn't have to go to school as long as she becomes the heir of the Frodium family instead. Behan shakes his head. If that's the case, he needs to go even more so he can better help Lotalucia later. He pats her head, promising to come back and play with her in his vacation. The next day, Damien prepares to go to the palace. Lotalucia won't accompany Dad today. Her eyes are swollen from crying about Behan leaving last night. She naively asks Dad why he keeps going to the palace lately. Could the Emperor have something on him? Damien finds it a bit amusing. What she says isn't wrong, but he's the one with leverage. He's going to the palace mainly to resolve the demonic beast invasion. Regardless, as a duke in the Empire, he must ensure the people's safety and protect House Frodium's reputation. Now he has another weakness. Lotalucia puts her hands on her hips and asks confidently what weakness, saying she'll help him solve it. Damien shows a smile and doesn't answer. He directly departs for the palace. After Dad leaves, Lotalucia wants to play with Behan, only to see Veronica and Behan dressed neatly, looking like they're also going out. It turns out that since Behan is going to school soon, they're getting him school supplies. That sounds interesting. Lotalucia wants to go with them too. And so the three of them arrive at the shopping district. First, they need to order Behan's school uniform. Arriving at the clothing shop, Lotalucia realizes this is where Dad bought her clothes last time. He bought so many clothes last time, she still has many new ones unworn. Behan is inside getting measured. Several little girls gather at the shop entrance peeking at Behan. They all look at him with admiration and feel he is as handsome as a romance novel hero. Thinking they'll soon be classmates with Behan at Noble Academy, the girls almost squeal with excitement. Seeing this scene, Lotalucia feels very proud. After all, with Behan's looks, this is normal. She believes once he goes to school, more people will confess to him. But not being able to go to school to personally screen candidates for Behan makes her feel very regretful. Just then, a brown-haired little boy comes to Lotalucia's side, looking hesitant. Lotalucia asks first, "Do you know me? Do you have something to say?" The little boy gathers courage and says, can I sit next to you?" After getting her permission, he sits beside her with flushed cheeks, constantly glancing at her. Lotalucia thinks he's bored, and that's why he sat here, so she proactively asks if he's also accompanying family to order clothes. The boy nods, saying he came with his brother. Lotalucia noticed he kept looking this way earlier and asks if someone he knows is here. Hearing this, the boy shyly lowers his head and says quietly, "I was looking at you." Lotalucia doesn't understand what he means. The boy covers his face in embarrassment. He asks if Lotalucia really wants to know. She wasn't very curious at first, but now seeing him shy like this, she's actually curious. He steadies his breathing and gathers courage. "Because you're so cute." But then Behan suddenly appears behind the boy, asking if Lotalucia is bored, which causes Lotalucia to completely miss what the boy said. She answers Behan that there are many children here, so she doesn't feel bored at all. Only then does Behan return to continue trying on clothes reassured. Interrupted by Behan, the boy no longer has courage to confess again. The two little ones chat about their respective brothers. Before long, the boy's family comes out first. He has to leave. He says to Lotalucia with a red face, "See you at Noble Academy." After saying this, he turns and runs out. Lotalucia doesn't have time to explain she won't be going to Noble Academy either. She turns to look at Behan and sees a blonde girl talking to him. The girl is all smiles, but he has a cold expression. Midway through the conversation, he even walks away on his own. Seeing him like this, Lotalucia is surprised because he's always so easygoing when playing with her at home. She crosses her arms, thinking she must talk to him about how this rude attitude won't make him friends outside. At this moment, the shop owner sees Lotalucia and greets her warmly. He asks overly familiarly why His Grace didn't come with her. Lotalucia explains she came with her brother. After speaking, she turns and runs outside because there are more and more people inside and it's too noisy. Coming outside, she relaxes and thinks about walking around. Suddenly, her attention is caught by a little girl who has silver hair and walks unsteadily, looking like she'll fall at any moment. As expected, the next second she stumbles and is about to fall to the ground. Lotalucia quickly steps forward to help her up. When she lifts her head, she is shocked to discover this girl looks so much like her mother. If someone told her this girl is what her mother looked like as a child, she'd believe it, because whether it's her hair or eyes, she's identical to her mother. But one difference is, her mother doesn't give off the same cold feeling as this little girl. When her mother smiles, it's like midsummer. Despite being preoccupied, Lotalucia still cares whether the girl just got hurt. As if noticing her strange gaze, the girl asks why Lotalucia is staring at her. Lotalucia shakes her head awkwardly. She can't exactly say, "You look like my mother." After that, Lotalucia wants to support her, but the girl says it's not that serious. The atmosphere suddenly goes quiet. The two girls look at each other. Lotalucia asks why she keeps holding her hand. The little girl blinks. "It just feels like I should keep holding you." Just then, the girl's mother's call comes from the street. "Where are you?" "Dahlia." Hearing this name, Lotalucia's heart seems to skip a beat. She stands frozen in place and completely doesn't notice Dahlia saying goodbye to her. The reason she's so shocked is because the female lead in that prophecy book is named Dahlia. She's also the adopted daughter Dad takes in after her death. The book says Dahlia is a girl like a doll. Seeing her today, Lotalucia feels this phrase more accurately means Dahlia is expressionless like a doll. In the book, Dahlia always has a cold expression, but she is very kind, and people around her like her. Before being adopted by Dad, she always wanted to get close to House Frodium. Dad in the book knew this too, so after Lotalucia's death, he wanted to adopt Dahlia to become his heir. Logically, it would be a wonderful proposal for Dahlia, since she could go from a Viscount's daughter to a duke's daughter instantly. But surprisingly, she refused Damien's proposal. In the end, her father personally sent her to House Frodium. Thus, Dahlia became Dad's adopted daughter as if cast out from home. Dahlia quickly adapted to life at House Frodium. Unlike Lotalucia, who was called a villainess, Dahlia was more like a duke's daughter, elegant, gentle, and kind. Lotalucia hasn't recovered yet and wonders, could the female lead from the book be this little girl before her? She recalls that the book also wrote that Dahlia was severely abused in her former home, but now her mother seems to care about her, which makes Lotalucia wonder if she just met someone with the same name.